Let's do an income breakdown of a language freelancer coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Thanks for coming back to the channel once again. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Adrian. I'm a freelance language specialist for 10 years now, and over the last decades I've made a living with various different language services, and I thought today I give you a breakdown of what my income looks like nowadays. This data is from the last 14 months, but in 2025 I haven't worked for 2 months, so it's basically the last year, the last 12 months of my business activity. People that know me and follow this channel know that I have also various different income streams. For example, this channel and other various things. I made a video on that a long time ago. You can click here if you're interested. But for the purposes of this video, I'm strictly focusing on my language business. So I'm breaking down in percentages the income that I make with language services. My main focus is the sports business. I offer language services to agencies and direct clients in this area, but I also do generalist work, but I try to specialize as much as possible in the sports industry. Currently in 2026, I offer 10 services as part of my business called Adrian Probst Language Services, and I'm gonna show you now which 10 these are. It starts with translation, then proofreading, editing, subtitling, quality assurance, consulting, copywriting, script writing, language optimization, and teaching. That's a lot of services. I know maybe to some of you it seems like too much, but for me this is done on purpose. It keeps me interested in the job. It keeps things varied. I'm never bored of it. I think if I did 100% translation, that would just not be the thing for me. That's why I set up my business this way. And I crunched the numbers, and I can show you now in a percentage wise how much these services make up of my income of the past 12 months of business activity. Starting with translation, which made up 30%. The core services there are general translations specialized on the sports business, transcreations as well, when it has to be very creative. These are the things that we as humans can excel at, right? When it's about culture, when it's about creativity, when you have to actually sell to a specific audience, and when it's very, very technical, not necessarily technical, but very expertise knowledge where you can outshine competition. The next highest service is proofreading. It made up 15% of my services. Often proofreading comes as a bundle with translation. It's offered as a package, and if not, then it can be various things. Often I offer these for agencies, so it's often generalist proofreadings. There's an important distinction between proofreading and editing or revision that comes next. Proofreading is simply checking the grammar and the orthography of a text, so you're not looking at stylistic changes, you're not changing paragraphs around. So this is a service that goes rather quickly, and often it's monolingual, so I get a German text. Next up is editing, 12% of my work. People also call it revision. This is when you actually look into the text, you look at stylistic changes, structural editing of the text. Maybe you say, this chapter actually fits better on this page. You switch things around, so that's much more time consuming than proofreading. I really like it because you can improve the clarity and the coherence of a text, and it's often very specialized because you need to know the context very well. That made up 12%. Moving into the next one, which was subtitling, 10%, one of my favorite services. It's really cool. Mostly what I do is I subtitle corporate videos for Swiss companies. So the CEO addressing the employees, for example, speaking maybe French, and then I have to do the German subtitles. Or if they speak Swiss German, I often transcribe it into High German, and then it gets translated by someone else into French and Italian. Because Switzerland is such a multilingual country, these are coming up very frequently, these videos, and that's a really fun service. And sometimes I also do documentaries and actual feature-length films or series, but that's rather rare. Equally often, also 10% came up quality assurance. That means that I'm reviewing the work of other translators for clients, for trusted clients that I've worked with for close to a decade. They trust my judgment, so when they onboard someone new, whether it being a reviewer, a translator, another language person, I check their work. I do a quality assurance. I check for cultural appropriateness. I review their work. I review their wording as well, whether they check the style guide, whether they check the registers. That's fun. Sometimes it's a bit mean when you have to be, not mean, but I mean, when you have to be realistic and just say this person is not suited for the job. that of course has a lot of consequences later on, but you have to be strict there also to safeguard our profession a little bit, right? Not everyone can do what we do. Next up is consulting. That made up 8% of my revenue over the last 12 months. That's when I advise businesses on their localization strategies, on their multilingual content as well. So often I'm involved even before the translation phase. I'm actually already, consulting them on how to word certain things in this language. It gets easier then for localizing because the source text is really so important in localization, right? If the source if the source text sucks, the localization will also suck. But also some companies just also write the copy already in their target language. They actually don't need the translation step. So that's when I can come in and help out in the strategical approach. But then next up, also copywriting made up 7%, and that's relatively new. I didn't used to offer copywriting, but in the last 2 years I offered it because it kind of goes hand in hand with the consulting, right? If I see that they need someone to actually write the content, why not actually hire me, right? So I've done 7% copywriting, creating original copy, human bio copy in German for Switzerland mostly. It included marketing copy, blogs, that's kind of it. It's mostly marketing copy when I do copywriting, or either articles or blogs that go on social media or the website, or directly as a flyer to the customer. 5% of my revenue came from teaching. Teaching, I mean, kind of widely. I'm not someone who teaches language, for example. I'm not a language teacher, but I do have workshops. I do hold workshops. I get invited to other platforms to hold workshops as well that are paid. I do some mentoring, one-on-one classes with some people to figure out their niche, for example, or figure out how to find clients. I've worked with companies. Now, there I was actually a teacher. Yes, I've worked with companies that hired me to explain the translation tool that they are offering to other people to then sell it. So kind of training the salesman. That was fun. I'd only done this once, but that was a big project, a big workshop for me, of course. So there is some money coming in with teaching. I just name it teaching because that's an overall, it's more like a knowledge transfer, let's say. 2%, very small amount, but has happened. Script writing, yes, that's actually writing an original script, not for movies, not for a theater play or something, but for short videos, mostly corporate videos that are then recorded, sometimes with a camera, but mostly it's just voice recording. And then I'm often also there either via Zoom in the studio, or at once I was actually in the studio in Zurich to record an audio, an advertisement, and I had to advise whether they speak it right, whether it's exactly what I want to say with my script writing. So it's really cool. It's a very different thing. I haven't done it often, as you can see, 2% in the last 12 months. But if it happens, it's quite a big project because usually it involves also traveling, or it involves very creative work that is then published on TV, on YouTube, etc. And the last service, 1% language optimization. I purposely toned that back a bit. I used to do more in keyword localization, in SEO, etc. But I don't really want to do that anymore. One, because I don't see it having a future with AI. I think it's not creative enough. SEO translation will just be, unfortunately, I'm don't trust my instincts, but my instincts say that that's not an area where human translators will survive. So I don't do that often anymore, but I still included some language optimization tasks. I was not exactly sure how. I made the categorization with my tasks over the last 12 months, and then I had a few left over and I didn't know how to group them. So I grouped them into language optimization. It often included the fact of changing the language of a text so it fits a specific audience, right? So it's I think I've done one keyword localization job in the last 12 months. That's it. The rest is other adaptations. There you go. I hope that makes sense. I hope it adds up to 100%. If I added some kind of graph on screen, I hope I did the math correctly. This was a fun exercise for me also to look back on. I would have guessed my translation rate was higher than 30% because it feels like it's still double by double the amount. It's the most thing I do. So it does feel like it's mostly what I do. But it's cool to see that it's only 30% because that means I have a quite varied portfolio and people are interested in the other services as well. Let me know in the comments what your split is, what you think it is. If you don't track it, maybe you can just guess. And I see you next Monday with the next video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you like this type of content. And I see you next week. Bye bye.